Right, good evening. My name is David, and I am running a session of Heart this evening. So, Heart is a role-playing game of dark fantasy explorations into a uh, a nightmare undercity. It is a new game by Chris Taylor and Grant Howitt, who wrote Spire. And it is currently being kickstarted. So if you're watching this at the time of the video is going out anyway, so I'll put the link to both more information about the game itself and to the Kickstarter down at the bottom of this video. This game is being run as part of the Gauntlet online gaming calendar. The Gauntlet's an online role-playing game community. We, as I say, we have sort of an online gaming calendar where you can sign up to play games online with people like this. We have a podcast network with some really decent podcasts on there. We have a monthly zine called Codex, which has all sorts of stuff for role-playing games, scenarios, new rules hacks, new games, some good stuff in there. So if you want to check any of that out, then you can find more at gauntlet-rpg.com, and again I'll put a link to that below. So before we get started, I'll just ask my players. We're unfortunately down to only two this evening, but two very good ones, so that's good. So if I can ask Donna, if you'd like to introduce yourself first.
Thanks, David. My name is Donna McCarthy. My pronouns are he/him. I'm based in Dublin, Ireland, and this is the first time I've played Heart or Spire. So yeah, looking forward to getting into some shenanigans.
Excellent, thanks. And Leandro.
Yeah, hi. Name's Leandro. I use he/him pronouns. I'm also based in Dublin, Ireland, which is that's weird to say. That's really weird to say. I don't know if anyone's watching this doesn't know how weird it is to say, but that is really weird to say. I'm the inverse of Donna in terms of experience in this game. I've played and run Heart, not Heart. Sorry, it's a bit. I just had dinner. Yeah, I played Heart and run it before. Same with Spire. So I'm just excited to go back into this wonderland of adventure where, we'll just be having some lovely, pleasant conversations over a nice spot of tea and madness, I guess.
Excellent, thanks. And yeah, as I said, I think at the beginning, my name's David. I also use he/him pronouns. So yeah, so with Spire, the idea is, as I sort of mentioned, you'll be playing adventurers who have made the unwise decision, or possibly not even made a decision, to venture down into the Heart. The Heart is a sort of nightmare, magical living dungeon realm thing deep below the Spire, which is a mile-high tower city that belongs to the Drow, but was recently, or in the grand scheme of things, recently overthrown by the Elfir, the High Elves. Down below the Spire, though, in the Heart itself, there is little that passes for real law. It's where those who, for whatever reason, can no longer get by in Spire society tend to wind up. And some people have lived down here for some generations now, though the Heart has a strange effect on people that live near or in it. And those who have spent a long time down here begin to change to match whatever it is that the Heart wishes of them. So into this situation, we'll be seeing two adventurers this evening, and I will just ask you both again to quickly introduce your characters, and then we'll get to know them a bit more, and we'll start to drill out on what you think your characters might be down here for, what they are after. We'll then take a bit of a break, and then we'll come back and actually get into play proper. So again, I'll just go through in order the character keeper. So I'll start with yourself, Donna. Who are you going to be playing this evening?
So tonight I am playing Ishkran, who is a witch. He is a young man, I think late teens or early 20s, and has grown up in Pilgrim's Walk, which is kind of an overcrowded kind of slum territory in the Spire. So yeah, maybe we'll get into this a bit later, but his calling is the heart song. So the heart is calling him directly in some mysterious occult manner.
Excellent. That sounds good. Yeah. So the witch. I'll actually just quickly. I could have done an introduction of all the classes, but I'll do a quick précis on what sort of the witch in Heart is, because all the sort of classes in this game are sort of tied into the fiction of the world, and so have kind of some specific bits about them. I should also point out, as I say, the Kickstarter has just launched, and Grant and Chris have just released a new quick start for this, which is available free. Again, check it out if you want to. Because that was released literally yesterday, I am going to be running this from the playtest rules that were released a couple of months back. So there may be a couple of differences between this and what's in the quick start book itself. But yes, so the witch is a person who has been infected by a strange bloodborne disease that lets them twist potentially their own body and the body of other people. They are exiled from the city above, and in the heart itself, they have there's a mixture of respect and fear of them. They can be quite adept healers. They are powerful, but they are also strange, and people tend to give them a fairly wide berth if possible. That's the sort of general view on witches. And yes, Leandra, if you'd like to introduce your character.
Yeah, so for tonight, I'm playing Morrow. She, they pronouns. She's the heretic class. Heretics are adherents of the Church of the Moon, who were long ago driven out of the city for believing in a tripartite moon goddess that, the patron of the Drow, bringer of light, obviously to the Elfir, that's anathema to them. So they fled to the Undercity, and they found, communion with something they call the moon beneath, right deep in the heart. Morrow is a bit of a mystery because she's completely clad in armor. Even her helmet is completely face concealing. She's not someone who's known well to even the Undercity of Spire. In fact, she came about quite recently, and what most people know of her is that she is a fervent adherent to the Church of the Moon, and she carries with her a rather sickly. I say sickly. What I meant to say was sick-looking gauntlet, which she says is also like a religious artifact of the church. So she's a bit mysterious, is what I'm saying.
Excellent. Sounds good. So I'm just going to look. Excellent. So I'll actually go back to you, Leandro. So I'm just going to pick up some threads in characters to see where we're going with this. So you've chosen the enlightenment calling. I see. Which so I guess what I'm interested in is what is Morrow looking for? What's sort of the belief or the secret that she's looking for?
I think she's looking for something unprecedented. The way the church, at least in my mind, how they go about it is like they've heard whispers and secrets of the moon beneath, but no one's really found the moon itself. So for Morrow, what she's looking for is kind of like the tributaries and the places in the heart where the moon could like leak through. So that's kind of like so she wants like concrete proof of the moon beneath. She doesn't want just the whispers that it passes by. She wants like just the actual reality of it. At least those are the kind of secrets she's looking for.
Excellent. That sounds good. That's definitely something worth looking at. So Donna, for Ishkran, he's come down here, obviously from Spire itself. Was his exile down here voluntary? Did he kind of head down himself, or was he forced by his neighbors?
So I think the kind of blood infection would have hit him unawares. It wasn't like he was ritually taken into a cult or anything like that. So he got infected through some mysterious means, and then the next thing he knew, he was dreaming of the heart. And when he awoken, everyone could see the signs of the dark magic on his skin, the ripples of the kind of new blood inside him. And so I think he would have been maybe quickly isolated from friends and family, and then the rumor might have gone out to the authorities that there was a new witch or someone infected, and then he had to run. So definitely down in the heart. I guess initially, if he thinks about it consciously, running from something, but obviously running towards something.
Excellent. No, that sounds good. And so, like I said, there are a number of there are witches who live down in the heart. It's where you tend to find them, and they often rise to positions almost approaching aristocracy down here. They frequently rule towns or other havens in the heart, things like that. Do you think that Ishkran has done anything to kind of integrate with the witches down here, or is he still more of a kind of outcast figure?
I think when he arrived in the heart first, he went to someone who everyone said would know how to help him. But I think I've chosen the ability implacable, and I think the witch he was sent to was like I'll get you my pretties on him, using him as some kind of vessel for power. So I think he would have been, in a cage feeding his blood to her for a few months before he managed to escape. So
nice.
I think he's not likely to trust many witches he comes across, even if they're not quite like her.
Excellent. That sounds good. I like that. So that's brilliant. And actually, Leandra, a similar question for Morrow. Is she sort of like a member in good standing of the faithful in the heart? Does she sort of belong to a church, or is she more of a church or a cult or some other similar organization down here, or is she sort of more of a sort of only really united by her faith with those other adherents?
I think most of the adherents of the church kind of view her with a bit of wariness, because she just kind of came out of nowhere. She just kind of showed up almost like fully formed, like nobody knows where she came from. Only that she had this armor, she's wearing, symbols of the faith. She had this relic on her arm, and she professed to know quite a bit about, the church and scripture, whatnot. I took one of the minor abilities was righteous rhetoric. So she's someone who is clearly versed in holy texts, but nobody knows where she came from. And so some people probably have like the impression that maybe she's someone who feels less like a believer and more like someone who just did their thesis on the church, so to speak, and it's a lot of knowledge. But then again, she can do what heretics could do. She can commune with the goddesses. I have other abilities like is vicious, which means she's useful to the church. But I think there's a sense that like people are still trying to figure her out, and she is not really giving them an inch, so to speak. She says the right words, but it's that lingering sense that she just knows how to say the right words.
Sure thing. That sounds good. That's great. So, Ishkran, what do you think? What do you think Ishkran has been doing recently? He's obviously recently-ish, perhaps escaped this witch who was holding him captive. But what is his sort of? Does he have a next plan? And if not, what has he just been sort of getting by with in the meantime?
I think he may have been getting into trouble. I think even though, I think maybe he doesn't know how to control the true form yet. And so he has become a bit of a cat's paw to some players in heart. Not quite as a tough guy or an assassin, but something in that vein. They don't care about his abilities, only that it's useful for them.
Cool. Excellent. So, Morrow. Does Morrow have like a lead on? Obviously, she's looking for signs of where the heart. Where the moon below might be. But does she have any leads currently that she's following? Any rumors she's heard?
Yeah, I think I think she's heard and confirmed a few whispers out and about of one of the oldest churches made by Church of the Moon. Was established back when they were first driven out, when like fear of persecution led them to go deep down into the heart, and where they found the moon beneath. And she's heard rumors that they found the entrance to like that journey that they made, this building that's called like the Knights Cathedral or something like that. um and she's not so suddenly gearing up for an expedition to find this cathedral.
Yeah, that sounds good. So I guess a sort of follow-up question to that. Do you think that you have hired Ishkran to accompany you on chasing down a lead that might lead to the Knights Cathedral, or do you think that your church has hired him to watch you?
I think probably the latter. I think probably Morrow wouldn't have thought the idea herself, but it was probably like suggested by someone in the church, like, bring someone with you. And there's this cat spa of a witch, newly kind of like infected. You need company, that sort of thing.
Excellent. Cool. So I think we have an idea of where you are and where you'll be going. So what I think I'll do now is I'll take maybe a 10-minute break, and I'll jot down some ideas of stuff that you might get into. If there's obviously anything else you think about, you want to like bring up about your character, or ask about your character, or whatever, or ask about each other's characters, we'll again do that when we get back. And then we'll just kick off with a quick scene to establish the two of you, and then we will get into the delving and exploration of the heart. So yeah, I'll see you all at 10 past. Yeah, cool. So the where we will pick up this evening, you will be just making your final preparations to go into the to leave the town that you're currently in. So I will. In fact, we'll just do a quick. I'll just ask a couple of quick questions to establish where you are leaving from. So
Can I ask a quick question first?
By all means, yes.
Maybe of Leandro specifically.
Yeah.
For Morrow, when her church is hired Ishkran to look after her, is this like a genuine look after her, or make sure she doesn't go off on them, or is there any kind of double dealing here?
I think part of it, I think no. I think they want to know more about her. I think it's part like, just she probably needs some help. If she finds something that's fine with the church, church will benefit from it. But they do want to know what her deal is, probably, and they probably asked Ishkran to like try and find something concrete about her.
Okay, cool. Sorry,
Perfect. No,
just a thing that occurred to me. The classic "look after her" in an Al Pacino kind of way.
Yeah, no, that's
Fiction-esque came through.
No, that's cool. So yeah, the town that you are just leaving, the Haven. This is one of the this is on the very top tier of the Heart, just below Derelictus itself, which is like the kind of the lowest rung of the Spire proper. And the town you're coming from is actually fairly recognizable as a town. It's been established for some time. There are buildings here. There is obviously quite a significant church here to the moon beneath. There's all this, the sort of things you might expect. There is a semblance of order here kept. The Hounds are the sort of the mostly self-appointed police force of the Heart, but they actually work to keep order in the town you're leaving. So it's relatively stable as these places go. But what do we see here, Ishkran, that lets us see that even here at the sort of the furthest extremes from the Heart, there's just that's the beginnings of the corruption of the Heart starting to take hold?
I think the town is surrounded by some kind of a palisade, maybe not full logs, but maybe detritus of the Spire building that have been used, but in the mud and earth into which they have been planted, there is I don't know, like dark veins that just go through the wood that's touching the soil, and there's signs. There's signs that these palisade logs are coming to life, but in a slightly odd way. The bark or any kind of thing that's recognizably wood is kind of turning dark, and maybe it reverberates if someone puts an ear to it. So yes, it's slowly maybe infecting the whole town.
Nice. And Morrow, what do we see in the town that that shows that sort of even here below the city itself, there are still those sort of social strata and sort of power dynamics going on?
I think the main thing is that if you go deeper into the Heart, you'll find that the social structure that people used to inspire just breaks down. You'll see Elfir who don't wear masks. I think that's the main one. But here, still just on the cusp of where Spire ends and Heart begins, those who are clearly Elfir, who've been exiled, who have been brought low to the point where they have to come down here to the Heart, they still kind of cling to those traditions. They still wear masks. I think there's quite a lot of masks here compared to anywhere else in Heart. Whether people are just emulating what's happening up in Spire or mocking it, There's definitely like that's the most sort of prevalent part of Spire's culture that's still down here, and those who wear masks kind of like carry themselves in a way that like might be amenable upstairs, but not down here.
Excellent. And Ishkran, what's the one thing in this town that you'll miss when you leave it?
I think there's a stall near one of the gates. Maybe it usually tends to the hounds, the mercenaries who kind of take care of things up here. But it's I think it's just like a coffee stall serving this really dark, thick coffee, and it's maybe it's something that Ishkran would never have had the opportunity to drink back up in the Spire, but it's like a almost a black market luxury down here for him. And yeah, I think he likes his morning Joe. It almost makes him feel normal.
Excellent. Yeah. Yeah, and the stall is actually run by a gnoll, which is definitely something you would not see on the surface. There is kind of an ongoing war between the gnolls and the Elfir, which means that gnolls are generally unwelcome within the Spire, but there are definitely some found down here in the heart. This gnoll goes by the name Dawn, and yes, they do indeed make excellent coffee. And Morrow. Morrow is something of an enigma, but who is she leaving behind in the town?
I think it would be like the probably the most prominent like preacher in the town, probably the one who's like stayed here, kind of built up the church.
Yeah.
Probably like the prelate. That's their title. They're kind of like the ones who's given Morrow shelter for while she's staying here, and probably someone that Morrow trusts as far as she could. I think she's this prelate is probably the one that she's probably deferred to the most or visibly. She more likes to think that maybe they share an understanding that like this prelate's probably not as nosy as the other churches, the other heretics who kind of question this mysterious fatal heretic of theirs.
Excellent. Yeah, that sounds good. So, the I'll open this up actually to either of you. Do either of you have an idea of what this town might be called?
I'm not sure. You're probably much more familiar than I am with the setting and what the place names sound like. Do you have any ideas, Leandro?
Ooh, it's tricky because when I usually run this, it's mostly people's names that come up. I mean, you've got a city called Spire. Here's a.
I mean, if we want to go like along those lines of Spire and Heart, we could call it Midden. Like it's a dump for everything that's been thrown out of Spire.
Yeah,
pretty much. If it's in the middle of Spire and Heart, yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, so Midden is the town you're leaving. That's perfect.
So shout out to all the archaeologists out there.
Yeah. So yeah, so we will the town the place you're heading to, I'll explain briefly, was inspired your recent journey, Morrow, or your impending journey. You have the other day someone came into town with they were trading goods, junk, mostly synonymous, and they had what from your sort of knowledge seemed to be possibly an item that had come from the Cathedral of Night. It was kind of nothing big, just a sort of like a just a small sort of brass plaque with a sort of dedication on it. But this dedication mentions the cathedral, which is not a term that you encounter often down in the heart. After speaking to them, they revealed that this item, they had purchased it in another haven a little further away, called Nightmarket, and this this clue might the sort of they intimated that they had bought it from sort of a scavenger come archaeologist who operated out of this market. So it's possible they might know more about where it came from. Then it might be a stepping stone to finding more out about the cathedral and its location. So with that in mind, I think I'll just get a quick scene with the two of you first, as you're making your preparations and leaving the town. Then we will get into the delve proper.
So is Morrow relatively flexible or agile in their armor, or what's her usual disposition?
I think just about the opposite. I think she's about as stiff and as inflexible as you'd expect to be wearing that kind of armor. I think she walks like how you'd imagine a statue would walk. It's kind of she's not like she won't she's not someone who blends in, really. There's a stillness to how she moves. How she like sees the world around her.
So I think Ishkran's movement is kind of polar opposite to hers. It's kind of sleek and lazy, and in as much as his appearance allows blending in with the other people on the street. And he says to you, maybe as he shoulders his bag, this journey is going to be very difficult with all of that weight. Are you sure you need to be like that?
It served me well before. I have faith it'll serve me well again. I think as she says that, her like look at this picture. Her left fist kind of like clenches a bit. You can probably tell that her gauntlets are mismatched. One of them kind of fits with the armor, the right one, and the left one doesn't look like it belongs. It's a bit larger and a bit scrappier. Looks barely held together.
So I think.
Oh God.
Oh,
go on. There you go.
Okay. Ishkran kind of rolls his eyes and looks out kind of over the palisade towards, not the horizon, obviously, but, into as far as the distance will allow, as if he can see something out there. And maybe you can see this kind of reddish black haze fill his eyes. Which is obviously not some kind of reflection of the light or anything like that. It's definitely happening. Well, I hope it's worth it.
If you'd like, I could take an hour of my time to explain to you exactly why this is worth it. But don't let me presume that you care about what exactly I believe in.
Probably not. You're right. But I'm sure you're going to tell me as we journey. The church is never shy of a captive audience.
No, especially with one more captive than most. But I certainly believe in a bit of quid pro quo. I know so little about you and, well, the witches. Do you believe in anything?
What do we believe in? Well, I can't speak for all witches, but what I've seen of this world, I believe in power and blood. Those are the two things that get things done.
And this power, this blood. I confess I'm fascinated. I'm curious to know what you do exactly with this power of yours.
Well, stick around, you'll see.
I think Morrow kind of like claps you in the shoulder and says, well, looks like we're getting along better than one would expect. Clap you again in the shoulder.
Well, I mean, I'm sure your prelate has told you everything, right? About where you're going and what he knows. But I don't play in politics.
Well, if that suits you. Not everyone should try and play politics. In fact, where we're going, it's quite straightforward. I'll try not to indulge my own bad habits about my faith. Instead, we'll keep our eyes forward. How does that sound?
Sounds like a plan. I mean, the politics here here and behind me have taken quite a toll. I'm looking for something more pure.
Morrow inclines her head. Can't see if she's smiling or not because of that armor. But she's basically like trying to tell you that she understands and is refraining from asking further for now.
Excellent. So you will begin your journey out of Midden. And so I will explain a little bit about how delves work. So I know I did mention that I was going to be using the quick start rules the playtest rules in general for this, but this bit, the actual delves themselves, I am going to steal from the new quick start document because they are a bit smoother to work with, I think. So that's what we will do here. So yeah, the way delves work is that you'll have each route between a place essentially has a resistance. This is basically almost like hit points. Essentially, it's a number you've got to kind of reduce down to 0. Once it hits 0, you arrive at your destination, which in this case will be the city of Nightmarket, or well, the haven of Nightmarket. The way that this happens is I will sort of describe some events that you will encounter, and each event you'll have you'll be able to kind of try ways of overcoming, bypassing, getting through that particular obstacle. Someone will make a skill check, and then that will determine how much you how much progress you make through the delve, and then obviously you'll finally meet your destination. So I will begin. The journey immediately outside of Midden is fairly easygoing. There's some well-traveled paths. Occasional patrols of hounds and guardsmen keep the worst of the creatures in this part of the heart away from your route. you're walking through vast caverns, mostly at this point. The underneath is mostly sort of quite loose soil. Occasional black ichor oozes up from underneath it as you tread on it. It looks like maybe condensed leaf mold or something. Maybe not leaves. There's no trees around here per se, but something. It definitely smells decaying. But the other than that, it's relatively easy going for this first little bit of your journey. You will however, the caverns you're going through, as I say, at this point, they're quite wide. There's not there's quite a lot of space, and it's, there is some light down here. Light seeps in from above still at this point. You're still close enough to the surface that there are some channels from above that let light in. There is some phosphorescent fungi as well, but you don't have a great field of vision. So making sure that you're heading towards the right direction, you're keeping on track, does require you to sort of pay quite a good deal of attention to what you're doing. So can I ask somebody to make me a roll with discern? And it would probably be wild at this point, which I don't believe either of you has. So the way that skill checks work in Spire is that you roll with you always roll with 1d10. If you have a skill that matches what you're trying to do, that adds an additional d10. If the domain that the skill is that the check is taking place in, or that relates to the thing in some way, then that's an additional d10 from that. And finally, if anything gives you mastery, you gain a fourth d10. The most you'll ever be rolling on as base is 4d10. That's if you have an appropriate skill domain and also mastery. Certain things will give you mastery. It will tell you if it does. The only other thing that you can do, one of the other things you can do as well is you can, in inappropriate situations, you can attempt to aid another player. If you do so, you grant them an additional d10, but you also suffer any stress that they incur if they fail or partially succeed at their role. So who's going to kind of take the lead in this scouting as you cross the cavern?
I think Morrow probably takes the lead because she got the lead and she's like, she's already said that she'll do fine in these tunnels, thanks Ishkran. So I think, yes, she'll probably like, I know the way, been through these ways before. No, she doesn't say that. I don't think she says that actually. But yeah, she'll just implicitly take the lead. And I think she'll do something quite curious to what looks like to Ishkran. She kind of like brings up her left gauntlet, the one that doesn't fit her, and she kind of like starts whispering to it, and then kind of like waits as if like something will whisper back. This is because the equipment I got is, it's a relic bludgeon, and it comes with the tag conduit. Now, what that let me does is that, according to tags, is that I can roll with mastery when using this equipment for the rest of the situation, but I have to roll. I have to mark D4 stress to mind.
Excellent. Yeah, go ahead. So if you want to roll yourself a D4 for stress first.
Hell yeah.
Um,
That. Oh, it's just a cute little one.
there we go. It's all going fine. I'm going to take a leaf out of your book, Leandro, and actually have a physical dice to roll for my stress. Mostly because it means I don't have to then faff about in your party as well.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. So, yeah, if you want to mark
mastery. Yeah, marked
it.
it.
Yep. So yes, you can. So yes, that will, I believe, give you a total of 3 dice to roll for your for the check itself.
Hell yeah. Yes. I've got 1 for luck, 1 for discern, and yeah, this whispering to the gauntlet nonsense. Ooh, highest is a 6.
Highest is a 6. So, on a 6, you you will succeed. However, you will also incur stress whilst you're going through here. So I think how this looks is I think actually I'm going to give you fortune stress in this case. So I think there is a moment where you're pretty sure you're following the right path, but you realize you've actually got to a point where there is an intersection. You get to a point where the big cavern you're in leads down to a smaller tunnel leading off of it. And you realize that this isn't maybe quite the one you intended to come down. It should be going in the right way, but there's kind of a fork in the tunnel here. You think that you know which way you want to be going in, and you follow that path. And it does turn out that you are correct, so that's fine. But you did have to rely on your luck there. So if you can roll me another D4, please, in fortune stress.
Right. Rover Party's doing the thing where it looks like it rolled, but gave me the same results. I'm going to re-roll again.
Yeah, no worries. Go for it.
Oh, okay. I'm pressing the wrong button. That's why.
No worries.
This is what happens when you take a vacation for a week and you forget how to do these things.
Yeah.
It's. I know. It just gave me a 1, but I'm suspicious because it also gave me a 1. I'm gonna re-roll one more time.
No, it's. I mean, it's saying on here that it changed like in the last that was 30 seconds or so. So
also, it says last roll 1 as well. So I think
Yeah.
that
Okay, cool.
if it was, it would count the d10s. I think if it didn't re-roll a 1. So yeah.
Yep. So you can mark one fortune stress, and you carry on down this tunnel. Sorry, and finally, I also need you to roll another d4 to basically see how much progress you make on the journey itself.
Okay, I keep rolling 1s. What's up with that?
Yeah, that's definitely showing it as coming back again. So, well, that's
okay.
Okay, so you continue on, and like I said, you are now in a tighter corridor. It's kind of odd. It's that the corridor you're going down, it kind of seems like rock and earth, but it's just that little bit. It almost looks artificial, not in the sense it's been carved out even, but just it looks a bit smooth and regular almost. It's odd. You will, however, it's fairly easygoing. But you travel down. You're sort of you are sloping down at a gentle pace here. When you reach an actual there's kind of a chasm in front of you, and a river flowing sort of beneath in this chasm. The water itself isn't that far down. It's maybe a few feet. It seems to be relatively fast flowing, quite narrow. The water is dark and kind of has that almost like petrol sheen on top of it. There is what looks like almost like a kind of a drawbridge is raised, but the mechanism seems to have it seems to actually be locking. There's like a some sort of key, padlocky key type mechanism on this winch that clearly raises and lowers the bridge.
So I think maybe on the approach here, Ishkran is running his hand along the strangely smooth surface of the tunnel, the cavern they're moving through, almost like he can feel it doing something very unrock-like. And then looking at the oily black water below, I think he's going to look at it as if it's much more dangerous than water should be. I think he looks at it using his sight, suspecting that it's not a good idea to fall into this if you want to keep yourself whole. And I think he'll be kind of muttering to himself a little bit, so that Morrow might pick up on his thought process.
Yeah, and I think as you look at the water with the sight, you will see that there are strange creatures that, even creatures might be too strong a word for it. They look like almost when you kind of drop ink into water and it sort of does that, like forms like almost like a cloud. They look like that moving below the surface of the water. They don't really have any particular form to them, but you can tell that it's something, some aspect of the heart is leaking through into this water.
Do you see that, Morrow?
Fascinating. We're not near like we can't. Can we put a hand into the water? Not that we're going. Not that I'm going.
You'd have to kind of like lean over the edge of this, like you'd have to kind of do the lying down on your front and sort of reaching right down, but you could do it.
I think definitely Morrow is as I think Morrow says fascinating. Ishkran, I don't know, rolls your eyes or something. But the next time we look at Morrow, she is lying down, but she's not like her helmet's kind of like peering at the water, but like it looks like she's still trying to make up her mind whether to like get a closer look.
You can the smell coming off of the water. It's that sharp, acrid sort of creosote type smell. It's not quite as heady as petrol, but that kind of tarry, organic-y smell.
Ishkran, you don't suppose these creatures will try something once we try to cross?
I'm sure of it. I mean, why else would there be a drawbridge?
I think Morrow kind of looks at you and says, well, why don't we cross then and see what comes our way? And you can probably tell that you probably know there's a bit of like a dare or like a bit of like a what you got in her voice. Like, come on.
Oh well. So, what are we looking at for either reaching the mechanism or just getting across ourselves?
Yeah. So in terms of getting the drawbridge down, mend technology would probably do you for like essentially picking the lock on the drawbridge, getting it operational. If you wanted to try and just trying to get over, like take a jump and hope, we'd probably be looking at something like evade, or swimming across would probably be endure, I guess. Or swimming is possibly not quite the right word, but immersing yourself in the water and to get to the other side would probably be endure.
Do these waters count as cursed, maybe?
They probably do, actually. Yeah. I think they count as cursed.
I mean, I'm gonna vote for doing something extremely foolish. In that case, I think a dare is a dare, right, Morrow?
You thought of it, not me.
So yeah, I think Ishkran will kind of unsheath his ritual knife. This sacred athame that he has, this wicked curved blade that looks like it's drank the blood of many a poor victim on the sacrificial altar or whatever. And I think he will, with nary a backward glance, wade into this cursed stream to get to the other side.
Excellent. So yeah, if if you would like to roll me an endure cursed, that will be again, I think 3 dice for you.
Yeah. Okay, so I got a 10.
A
My
10.
highest.
Excellent.
That'll
So
do, pig.
that's perfect. So on a 10, that's actually a critical success. Which I will bear with me 1 second. I will check up on how those work. I think it's yeah, that's right. So it increases the size of the dice that you'll be rolling when you kind of resolve this. You also don't take any stress. So yeah, I think you step down into the water, and the water's not actually as deep as you might have thought. You don't actually need to swim. It comes up quite high. It comes up to probably about your waist, maybe a little higher. And it is intensely cold and oily. It's just got that, like I said again, that kind of viscous thing to it. And there's that sharp smell of creosote again coming up as you step into it, and you notice the shapes start to these creatures under the thing, but you actually realize that they're what's creating this like oily slick on the water. They start to swirl around you and cling to you, but as they touch your skin, they shrink back, and you can almost see this like area around Ishkran clears, and the water looks, you can sort of see almost to the bottom of this channel now through this water, and they disperse down either end of this little underground river, leaving a clear path for Morrow to follow behind. And yeah, if you could roll me a d6, please, Ishkran.
Got a 2.
Excellent. Okay, so we're probably going to have at least a couple more encounters on the way. So I will call a 5-minute break here, and then we will continue with the journey and hopefully reach Nightmarket. Yes, so you will continue along a passageway leading out from where the underground river was, and it's a little tight for well, and it's still the same sort of thing before. It's that kind of quite artificial looking workmanship here. You come out into another wider open cavern. This one actually looks more, it almost has like a vaulted look to the ceiling. That you can see there actually appears to be stonework in here that kind of points upwards, and it's much brighter as well than anywhere you've been so far. There appears to be almost like a well descending into this room from above somewhere. And down in this room, underneath sort of the well opening in the light, there is a huge stack of bones in a very crude sort of pyramid shape, mostly caused by it being how they fell than anything else. Some of the bodies closer to the top of the pile show some signs of more recent death. And below that, the bones get gradually more brittle and scattered. There are rats swarming through the pile of bodies and bones. And as you enter this cavern, they will all stop and turn to watch you with intelligence. Would maybe be putting it too strongly, but they certainly seem to be looking at you with some purpose or intent.
Can I tell from where we are what made that pile? Or
you would. It definitely seems like these bodies have been essentially dropped down this well into the cavern below. From where they are, there are bones and stuff scattered throughout this little cavern, but the ones that are scattered more towards the edges definitely look like they have been, just disturbed there. Whereas the sort of the bodies are the big pile itself is directly under this sort of well opening.
all right, and the two of us will probably notice the rats.
Yeah,
Look,
yeah.
yes. I think Morrow just kind of like looks very still, and then kind of like slowly looks at Ishkran and kind of like just nods at the rats. Like,
Is this some kind of professional courtesy?
No, I was just subtly trying to indicate that perhaps we should take it slow and steady here. And then they look at the pile, and then they look at you again and say, then again, those creatures in the river seem to shiver at the sight of you. Perhaps these rats might do the same.
Well, I don't think it's quite so straightforward to wade through a throng of rats. Maybe we'll try to avoid them instead of running right up to them. I don't think rats are rational like those shadows were in the water.
I've not found much.
Maybe a different kind of irrational.
I've not found much down here to be quite rational, true. But let's perhaps do as you say. And then she kind of does a small gesture as if to say like, okay, yeah, you lead the way again.
So I think Ishkran leads the way, but is skirting the very edge of the cavern to maybe keep the distance between them and the rat's usual dinner. to a maximum. And I think maybe there's some kind of a pull. It's like the strange shapes on the veins on Ishkran's skin start to bulge and to almost like to reverberate in some kind of harmony with this this pyramid of death, this kind of offering to the heart.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, and I think actually, I think that can work. I think as you kind of feel this pull from the sort of this sort of charnel pile, you can feel, like I said, there's something running through your veins, almost like there's something in there, something burrowing for a moment. The feeling does pass slowly, but I think I'm going to. But whilst you're feeling this, the rats, they're not actually backing away, but as you're walking past, they are following you with their sort of heads, but they're not making a move towards you. But yes, I would like you to roll me an endure, please. It will just be an endure. I don't think you have an appropriate domain here.
Sure.
So yeah, that'll be a 2 dice roll.
Yeah. Oh. 2 10s.
Wow, excellent. So yes, the rats all sit up on their haunches, their sort of hands tucked into their chest, and they let out an almost sounds like a song as they all kind of squeak in unison. It's incredibly strange, but you they appear kind of, you're able to walk past them entirely without, well, as I said, not without them noticing you, but without them making any move to in any way stop you. And as you leave the chamber, you can still hear that kind of the strange echoing of that, the strange call they made. Almost seems to follow you down the corridor always. Once you're a little bit further away, you cough, and a few maggots drop out of your mouth onto the floor. But other than that, everything seems fine. And if you could roll me, I think that'll be a D8, please.
Sorry, I was muted.
No, it's okay.
I got a 6 on that D8.
Perfect. And you head down the corridor, and it again, you can feel it opening up again ahead of you. And you know now that you are close to Nightmarket. Mainly because as you begin to make your way, as you can feel this corridor opening up before you into a wider cavern. Again, it is pitch black here. And not only is it pitch black, there's a kind of a strange coldness to the air. And as you step forwards into it, the torches or lanterns that you have with you all gutter and die. And you're in, at this point, almost total darkness. You probably, because I believe you are both Drow, that was the impression I got anyway. Well, I mean, I suppose we don't know about Morrow, but certainly Ishkran, you have that sort of, you can get by in darkness, but even this seems even more dense even than that. It's that like maybe like starlight perhaps, but not moonlight, that sort of level of illumination out here. It's very difficult to make out anything. You can maybe see sort of your own hands in front of your face, and that's about it.
So I think Ishkran will maybe reach back. I think he knows exactly where Morrow is from the clanking. And he reaches back to tell them to take his hand.
Yeah, I think Morrow will take his hand. I would say, apparently, according to my core, I and my companions are ever bathed in the intangible moonlight of the moon beneath. I don't know what that means. So I think when Ishkran kind of looks back, and because we're now in the pitch black, you see that the Morrow, the outline of her is quite faint, but she's quite tangible in the dark. Like the picture I put in the character keeper is black and white, and I think that's kind of like what Ishkran is seeing. It's like this weird, almost like plucked out of a drawing from a book sort of vision of Morrow who takes his hand.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, so no, I think in which case that I think you do almost have like that just very faint. You and by extension, Ishkran will have that faint sort of, almost like a sort of a drawing of like a, those sort of, I don't know if there's a better word for that, but like those sort of full body halos that you get in like pictures of saints, where they just have that kind of aura around them, sort of thing. And it doesn't shed much light out in front of you, but you can actually see yourselves, and you can just see sort of the ground at your feet. But yeah, it does push. It's almost like the darkness is almost like a solid entity that you're pushing through.
Does Morrow hold Ishkran's hand with the normal gauntlet or with the groovy gauntlet?
That would depend on what hand Ishkran was holding out, because otherwise we're trying to figure out like which hand. Okay, no, it's not the groovy gauntlet. No, she doesn't let anyone touch the groovy gauntlet but her.
Cool. Okay,
that's fair. But yeah, I think to navigate through this darkness, it will be another discern roll, unless you have any other ideas. And well, I was going to say it would be a discern cursed, because this is, you may be surprised to learn, not natural. And although with your aura thing going on, Leandro, I'll also let you roll with discern religion, because you are, the light of the moon beneath is literally guiding you.
Yeah. I think Morrow, because this is what she was doing before. I think she'll kind of like she's. I mean, Ishkran's kind of like forward, but Morrow was kind of like almost because of the way she has the light. So I was like directing like where to go, and I think this is again. I'm going to use the gauntlet again because the conduit tag says per situation I can mark D4 stress to roll with mastery. So this is a new situation from the start.
That's right. Yeah, my understanding is a situation is basically like more or less a new scene, unless that doesn't seem hard and appropriate. So yeah, that's cool. I'm happy for you to do that.
I might have.
I don't. Oh,
it's probably not necessary, but fictionally, I think Ishkran is helping.
Sure thing.
The thing is, I think the limit you can get is 4 dice in a pool, and if I get the normal dice, skill, domains, and mastery, I have 4.
Okay, cool. Okay.
Aid can take you above that, I think.
Ooh, can it?
Yeah, yeah. But yes, with obviously the downside that if you do take stress, then the person assisting takes it as well. Though obviously it also ups the chances that won't happen. So
go and roll 5 then, Leandro.
Cool. All right. Let me just mark stress first. So the mind. I think what this looks like is she's again whispering to the gauntlet and then kind of like pointing in a direction, and it's almost like the light of the moon emanates from it. From the groovy gauntlet. That's not what it is in my head. Thanks. And okay, roll a d4. Oh, finally. Well, I don't know if I should be happy to get a 4, but I did.
Perfect.
But I'm fine with that. I'm totally fine with that. Oh, 4 plus 1, that's a 5. Sorry. All right. So that gets me. Let me just generate 2 more dice. And then I'll roll them all in one go. No, I'm not counting those 9s. Okay, all right. So I got 2 1s, a 3, and then there's a 10. So it's all good. It's all good. It's all good.
It's fine. It's fine. So you well. Yeah, so as you are walking, as you are sort of leading your way through. Actually, no. So I tell a lie. You will make it to Nightmarket. You don't need to roll because you needed 1, so it's fine. But you walk through the darkness, and the you will hear the sort of the light of the moon has been guiding you, but you then hear a soft, sibilant whisper in your ear saying, "Yes, my child, you are on the right path. You must find me in the darkness. You must obey my guide. You must follow my guidance and seek me out below the dark flesh of this earth where I reside." And you you have taken some minor, sadly, for given your beat, but so you've taken some minor mind fallout there. You are now afflicted by fascination, Yes, you can. You are drawn to, which admittedly probably doesn't change your demeanor that much, but you are now drawn to follow the whispers in the darkness, leading you to this destination that you seek, which you presume to be the Cathedral of Night. The upside to this is, well, so essentially this means that you are essentially driven to keep finding stuff out about it, and you have to take opportunities to do so. But on the plus side, you roll with mastery when attempting to do so. Whenever you're basically attempting to find out stuff about this voice in the darkness and the Cathedral of Night. That's that, and you will also heal 3 stress from. Oh, yes, you've done that already. 3 stress off of your mind. So cool. Brilliant.
I think when I hear that voice. Oh, sorry.
No, go on. I was just going to move us on, but that's so stay with that.
Yeah, I just to get in the fiction, like when she hears that voice, I think Ishkran hears a kind of like an almost high-pitched sort of squeak of a laugh come out of Morrow. It's like once that voice has stopped.
So, I mean, I think Ishkran doesn't hear it, but I don't know. Maybe he feels something. And if he was holding a hand instead of a gauntlet, he might give it a squeeze, but that won't do much through the steel or the mail or whatever it is. So yeah, I think he'll just kind of look at them with some kind of strange knowing glance, like they're joining his secret club or something.
Excellent. And yes, you will make it through so it's an odd sensation. It is like going through a curtain almost. There is a moment where everything around you is blackness. Everything is dark. Obviously, like I said, other than this sort of like little pale illumination around you, but then there's just a moment where you step forwards, and the area you walk into is bathed in an eerie purple light, and you can see tents, mostly just tents sort of set up in a circle. There seem to be people around, people sort of bustling about, doing their thing. As you sort of move forwards, you can see that this purple light seems to extend almost in a perfect circle around these tents. And in the center of the tents and in the center of the circle stands, it's not very big per se. It's maybe like a 6-foot pole or so, metal pole. Almost looks like a kind of a torch, that sort of big flared torch. It's sort of like one of those watch beacon type things. And in it is a purple crystal, shaped like a sort of teardrop. It's held in this iron brazier thing, and it seems to be emanating this strange purple light that seems to cut through the strange blackness around you. So there are people within the tent, sort of moving between the tents. Again, as you'd expect, mostly Drow. There seem to be that there are some humans. There are some. You don't necessarily notice any Elfir, though. Admittedly, probably telling the difference between Elfir and Drow in this light is actually relatively difficult. The a couple of people who are nearer to you probably will notice your arrival, but they don't make any immediately hostile signs towards you. There are probably a couple of people standing around that look like guards. They're standing kind of at odd intervals around this circle of light, probably armed with quite long, almost like pitchforky type polearm things. What do you do?
I let go of Ishkran's hand.
First things first.
Yeah, just get that out of the way first. I think I kind of look around. It's not a big place, this market, is it? Or is it just...
No, it's I'm going to pick a random number out of the air and say maybe somewhere between 50 and 100 people you reckon live here. That sort of region. So probably like maybe like 3 dozen or so tents of varying sizes. Some are kind of big, like marquee type tents. Some are just smaller ones, as well as some that look just like set up like little stalls.
Yeah, so I think Morrow is kind of like scanning all that, and her head is kind of moving like in a kind of robotic way. It's almost wistful. And then she kind of like says, kind of... Oh, go on, David.
No.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were going to say something. And then she kind of says, almost like in a low voice, but Ishkran can hear. It's like, the way those creatures, the way the heart just bended to your will. It was fascinating. Did you know you could do that?
Power and blood, Morrow. Isn't that what I said?
I'll admit, there's a moment there where I felt a stab of envy against you. But sometimes faith in what you do and what you believed in, well, I think she's still looking at the stall when she's saying this. It'll be rewarded soon enough. But there was a point where I would have done anything for that kind of power. Do you seek that power?
I'd never sought it. I don't think your faith would survive the kind of certainty that this power gives me, would give you. That's the whole point of your faith, isn't it?
Faith gives you a path. It tells you that if you follow this path, you'll be rewarded. It means to sharpen your mind. It means to keep you running into the dark, with the certainty that you'll land on your 2 feet once you get to the end of that path. But you don't need faith, do you, Ishkran? You don't need faith to land on your 2 feet.
Well, at least you'll have something to do when you get to your destination.
Well, unless you have any other business in this market, perhaps we should do as what we are meant to do here. But this is a safe spot. We can rest. If that's something if that's something you seek to do.
I still sleep. I'm still human. I'm still a person.
I think that's when Morrow kind of looks at you and says, "If you say so." And then she just marches off to the market, kind of like, you do you.
Yeah. As Morrow heads into the market proper, a figure will approach her. He's a drow. He has pale skin, sort of alabaster skin, and it's almost got that translucency of alabaster as well. But he looks old, not wrinkled as such, but he just looks quite gaunt and thin. He's dressed in almost like a patchwork quilt of silks and other sort of fine things in a sort of long coat. He has long hair that's as pale as his skin. And he says, welcome. And you guessed, I do not believe I have seen you before. My name is Master Vare. I am the leader of this little band. Welcome to Nightmarket.
A pleasure to meet with you, Master. Sorry, what's the name again?
Vare.
Vare. Master Vare. My name is Morrow. I am a pilgrim looking for certain persons in this market of yours.
I see. We rarely have people to sell here. Not unless...
Oh, no. I'm not looking to purchase any persons merely. I've heard word of a certain archaeologist passing through here, and I was hoping to make their acquaintance.
I see. Yes. Well, I might be able to help you. For a price, of course. This is, after all, a market. What do you have to offer me, Morrow?
Oh. I think Morrow leans forward and says, like, I can give you a whisper from the moon beneath. If you so wish if that is worth something here.
Excellent. So I think I will, in that case, have you roll me a compel religion, and we'll see how that goes.
It just so happens I have one of my major abilities uses that exact two skills and domains. This is communion. Your eyes roll back in your head and your whole body shivers as the goddesses whisper unearthly silver words through your mouth. Yeah, so, and I'm going to keep using that gauntlet. So this is another situation. I'm trying my hardest to hit that beat.
Yeah.
And I think just to further that, what I'm going to do is my enlightenment core unorthodox methods allow me to, like, before a roll, just state that my result is a 6, which is success, but I take stress.
Yep, that sounds good. I will just have a quick look at. Does it? Yeah, cool. I'll call that probably a D6 of stress, as you channel, the voice of the moon beneath through you.
Okay, so I guess technically I didn't roll, so I don't have to mark stress for using that gauntlet, do I?
Oh no, that's true. No, but yeah, you will take the stress for the thing itself. Yeah, the partial success essentially. Yep.
Okay, so I just generated D6. I'll just roll that. No, that's a 2. Oh no, that's a 3.
A 3. Cool.
So back to 5.
Excellent. So yeah, you channel a portion of the goddess through you, and you lose sight for a moment of what's going on around you, and then come back to yourself. But the Master Vare has an almost peaceful smile on his face, and he says, "Thank you, my dear. That will be quite sufficient. The person you seek is dewdrops on lissom boughs. They are the archaeologist you seek, an elf here. You will be unsurprised to learn. They have a tent." He points basically on the opposite side of the encampment to where you came from. Over there, you should have no difficulty in spotting it.
Thank you, Master Vare. I hope whatever the goddess whispered to you was enlightening.
Excellent. So, Ishkran, whilst I'm blanking. Sorry. Whilst Morrow is meeting with the master, what's Ishkran going to be doing? The other thing I will point out is that if you want to try and like buy something or acquire something or anything like that, you can also make a roll to do so, to essentially either to find it or to do it. The way stuff like sorry, I should have said this is I forgot that bit. This is a haven. There's a sort of a few things you can do in places like this if you wish to try and recover if you wish to try and recover any stress, you can find locations here that you can do that in. So in general, you'll need to exchange supplies with them. You'll need to exchange items that you've found with them to gain access to it. However, you can, if you wish, just attempt to kind of persuade someone to let you use their facilities by making a skill check. And if you lose any, if you lose any, if it costs you money or whatever, that's essentially supplies stress. That's what the supplies stress track is for. Or if there's just anything else you wish to do, then feel free.
Yeah, I don't think I have any stress to recover, but I think I'm going to be a little bit more underhand, given my beat, that minor beat I'm looking at. So I think Ishkran is kind of slowly circling the haven, in a ever inward circle. And he's holding his athame, at his shoulder. The inside of the blade is, slowly scoring a wound there, and the blood is dripping down. Then his body then his leg and onto the ground, and he is inscribing this kind of spiral along the path. Almost all the way into the pole holding the crystal. I think he's trying to kind of unbalance the center of the haven and maybe invite something dark in.
Excellent. So this is in the cursed domain. So this domain, again, just to give the sort of a quick rundown on it, the domain has the haven has the domains haven and cursed, because it's within cursed land. So yes, you'll get your cursed domain on this roll, and I think. I think that this probably actually does count as mend, as well, as you're attempting to essentially do the opposite of that. You're attempting to kind of sabotage a physical object. So,
okay, so let me roll. I got a 9.
A 9. Okay, so that's a straight success. So it's not a critical success, but it's you also don't take any stress for doing so. So yes, I think you reach the you've trailed this blood around in this spiral. And as you reach the base of the crystal, it starts to run up the pole, up the metal pole, running up it in a spiral, and it reaches the base of the crystal, and you can see the sort of trail of blood being sucked up along the floor. After it, almost like a snake coiling up this pole, and it worms its way into the crystal. And just for a moment, the purplish light in this clearing just goes slightly redder for a moment, and then flashes back to purple. But you can feel the pull of this crystal in your veins, and you can feel something else reaching for it. And just outside in the darkness, you maybe noticed a few shapes moving around before, or not noticed shapes, but noticed presences when you were traveling through the darkness. You will hear some screeching sounds that are almost too high pitched to hear, but that just echo off of the cave walls, almost like I mean, basically they sound like, bat calls, that sort of screechy clicking sounds, and a few of the guards at the outside of the circle of light will kind of start. Well, they don't even properly look around because it's kind of pointless. The long spears that they have, and that is where we will leave things for this evening, I think. We'll come back to this next time. So thank you very much both for that. I will just stop the recording. But yeah, thank you very much.